Recording in
Hey
progress.
everybody, we're back with some Star Wars. It's our review of The Mandalorian, chapter 18, 19, and 20. Three big episodes. We're used to short episodes, and then all of a sudden they're getting longer when we have to do a lot. So bear with us. Chapter 18, The Mines of Moria. I mean Mandalore. Um So in this one, we get Din in Baby Yoda Grogu. They finally visit Mandalore after some droid nonsense. And they make some discoveries down there on the planet. Thomas, I know you've been kind of wanting to give us your thoughts on this one, so why don't you go ahead and what
I
jumped
mean,
out at you on this?
okay. Well, okay. Do you want me to give like a recap of the episode or just like my thoughts on it?
Just your thoughts, I think.
I like so it's gonna be a theme throughout like all three of these episodes. I like the uh inclusion of Bo-Katan now and her was gonna be her conversion to the Death Watch. I had a really big problem with this episode is that we had this whole thing about Din Djarin going down into the caves, Baby Yoda following him. They find that weird monster thing. I don't even know what it is. And then Baby Yoda goes back up to the surface and finds Bo-Katan because apparently there's like a quick little like, we're here and you go here if you need to go back home to like the home planet or whatever. And Baby Yoda flies in the N1. I was like, that's weird.
I think R5 was flying it, but
yeah, well, yeah. But anyway, they go back and then it's literally the same pace of the episode or the same shots of the episode repeated again with Bo-Katan instead of Din. Like it's literally like shot for shot. Goes down. All right. Goes down into the jetpack. Cool. Goes into this cave. Turns left. Goes this way. And I was like, what? This is a very odd way to just recap all this. But yeah, I found it kind of needless and kind of just like pondering like, and but then we get a really cool ending of her finding the mythosaur, which is the skull on all the Mandalorians wear. Not all of them, but the crest belongs to all of them. I think they say it later. And then kind of
most
like
famously by Boba Fett.
yeah, and then like the spark of faith kind of is like inspired by her. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I'll chime in later in the later parts of the episode, but that her conversion is probably the most interesting thing in this show right now. And also the way that Din is like preaching to her, I guess, and like teaching her how to be an actual like Mandalorian, even though she is from Mandalore from back during the Clone War days. Also the age difference I think is a little odd. She's supposed to be like 25 years older or so than him, but she looks younger than he does. So I don't know, a little weird, but because she's like an adult during the Clone Wars, and then this is like
he's a kid.
Yeah, we have full grown Luke. So I mean, at least 28, 20 something years, and so I don't know. She should look a little older than she is, but she, whatever. But no, that's
she's got that good back to man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Back that keeps you alive.
Keeps you going, man. But that is like my favorite part of this, like the series so far, is her conversion. I think it's when we're finally focusing on it, it's done really well, and I really like it. So that's what I had to say. And then I got proven right throughout the rest of the episodes. It's the best parts of those episodes are about her conversion. So anyway.
Yeah, the plotting of this series, or this season, I should say, has been a little weird. Like in this episode, they go to like Tatooine because he needs a droid. And then they go to like Bose, I think, and he's like, hey, we've already been there.
What are you guys laughing at?
Jared's got the giggle fits right now. I think he's muted too.
Michael's face.
Oh my god, you're both laughing at each other. Adorable.
Yeah, like I was saying, the planning's been a little weird because he's already been to Bo-Katan's planet. Then he goes back to Tatooine. Then they go to Mandalore. They're like, hey, we've already been there. Apparently, she's living on the moon, one of the moons, and I guess she has never occurred to her to, hey, maybe I'll go fly by the whole planet and see what's happening there. But
Well, like the whole thing is like Mandalore's poisoned. Okay, cool. How do we know this? It's because we know.
just take our word for it.
It is known.
Yeah, it is known.
Even in the episode, because they go down to the planet, he gets captured, so Yoda has to go back, and then they got to go back. So a lot of backtracking in this series. What did you think about this episode, Michael?
Oh, well, these 3 episodes are interesting, starting with this one, because it's an absolute roller coaster of Mando to me. Because as we discovered in our last episode, Mando drives me crazy. The show, not the character, drives me absolutely bonkers. And the beginning of this episode is it's one of those moments where I wanted to just turn it off almost immediately, because you got Princess Carolyn from BoJack Horseman just doing whoever writes her character in this show, just holy cow, show them any other TV show ever and be like, hey, all of this is better than this. All of
We need
it.
to review that show, by the way, Michael.
Holy, dude, BoJack's great. But yeah, her characters are, and then for some reason, Baby Yoda does cartwheel flipping gymnastics. He becomes a gymnast outside of the thing and grabs her, and she's like, "Oh, this is so wonderful." Scene's trash, absolutely trash. Don't like it. They make that whole big deal about him wanting a new little droid buddy, but no, he wants the single one. But then he like tries once, fails, and then gives up immediately and just takes another one, I guess. Which they didn't really. I felt like they were still going to try because he still took that dude's body. Anyway, past that point of absolute just cringe-worthy scene, dialogue, flipping gymnastic green babies. I actually liked the rest of the episode. I liked it quite a bit. I liked the cave aliens, the cavemen aliens. They were cool.
Yeah,
the
those were
Mandalorian
cool.
cave things.
Oh, the freaking Mordocs.
Yeah, they
Called
look
from
Journey to the Center of the
the
Time Machine.
time machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, when's Jeremy Irons gonna show up?
They look
What?
just like that.
Yeah.
I agree with Thomas. I like where they take that Bo chick's character's arc, but that actress I can't find not cheesy. Like
Really?
all the scenes, I'm like, it's just too much of that, like trying to put on the tough chick act to me. I'm like, I don't know from anything else. I don't want to judge her too harshly for it, but that is a hard thing to pull
Don't
off. That
watch
kind of
her
like
in anything else, because all she plays is the
Uh-oh.
battle hardened
Since
chick.
Battlestar
that-
Galactica.
Yeah, listen, that's what it seems like. Seems like some like sci-fi chick that kind of gets pushed through this kind of trying to be a baddie. And I get it, but still feels a little like when she has her helmet on. Then I'm like, okay. Then you like it's just something about the look she gives. It just always looks like too much. Like just less is more. Less is more. You're not on stage. Anyway, so the rest of the episode that was very, very cool. Loved the way it ended. With the big monster thingy. I was like, ooh, super interested, which
Yeah.
we'll get to the point where I'm super disappointed, like the beginning of the next episode. But super, super cool. I liked the rest of the episode, thought the action was cool. I actually liked the fact that Baby Yoda did something and he flew off to go get her. He's like, help! And then they go back and they save Mando. And I like the cave aliens. That was cool. So I like this episode mostly, except for the beginning was terrible. So not bad, Mandalorian. Starting off on a medium high note for these 3 episodes.
Jared,
Ma.
I really like the creatures on this one. So we talked about the little Morlocks or whatever they're called, and then the Mythosaur, which is legendary. But there was also this weird droid thing. It looked like something out of the Matrix. So what you think about this episode?
This episode, I was kind of like, oh crap, Michael might be right, because it was like, it started off pretty bad, like with that what he called it cringe scene. It was a little too like for kids, and I don't know. I'm gonna be the only one probably to say this, but I've never liked Bo-Katan, the character, even on like Clone Wars. I don't really care for her. She's kind of annoying.
She's better than Satine. Just saying.
Sister.
Her sister
Yeah.
sucked.
I didn't like either of them. So I'm finding out that why I don't like shows like Last of Us, like Game of Thrones, or like just shows instead of anime. It's just I just want to focus on the main characters, like um Mando and Baby Yoda. That's all I really care about right now. I don't care about Bo-Katan. I don't care about anyone else. I just want to see them. I just want to see like Wolf and Cub style Mandalorian, where they're just going through planet to planet, having adventures. I know Michael would hate that because he'd be like, "Oh, this is."
I mean, if that was the focus of the show, I'm fine with it. It's the fact that at the very beginning of the show, they put on this thing. Hey, you have a mission. You have a goal. Take this thing here. That's your goal. And then they throw it out the window and just go play lollygaggling dance upon all the planets.
What I did like in the episode was like Mando. He did have a goal. He wanted to bathe in that water, and he like ignored Bo-Katan the whole time. He's like, "Whatever, I'm gonna go in the water." And she's like, "Wait, but this." He's like, "Nope, taking my belt off." Um, his cool scene, Mythosaur. I think Joseph brought up the theory that I like the theory that cyborg thing was just like a little bit left of Grievous.
his
It was
his
like kind of
eyeball.
organic eye, even though he's like burning out the eyes in the movie, but it'd be cool. And then he melded with that like tank or whatever. That was cool. And I love seeing Baby Yoda in his little like Robotnik car, like
Yeah.
just floating around.
It's an egg.
His little lazy
That's a
mobile.
straight up egg. You can
I
say
just
it.
want that Dr. Robotnik music. But yeah, this one was kind of lame. That's all my thoughts on this one.
Well, if you didn't like the focus going away from Din on this one, wait till our next episode, which was chapter 19, The Convert. This one started cool for me because we get to see a lot of TIE interceptors, and TIE interceptors have always been like my favorite ship in Star Wars. So I was like all in heaven during this scene. But then the show quickly turns into Andor.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot
But
of
hold on, let's just say like Andor's third cousin that kind of watched Andor and kind of knows how to write, but not really grammatically well. It's still I actually like the storyline of this episode, but
there's a
the
lot of cool
quality
stuff in this
quality's not
episode.
there.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff introduced in this. Like the
Well,
interceptors and the bombers, which you never really see that much in the originals.
Well, when I watched this episode, I was just like, is this gonna be like a theme now for shows to have like an established storyline and then pick one random character to have a theme or an episode about, and then probably never really come back to it in that season or whatever.
It's weird because it's like, oh, okay, they're setting up like the Doctor to turn back to the Imperial side, and the Imperials will be doing something. But when it ends, it's just like, what the heck does this go to? Because like he gets brainwashed again, and it seems like I thought the girl was like hardcore Imperial, but she seems like she's actually still with the New Republic, so I couldn't figure out what the heck the ending meant.
Yeah,
So.
I couldn't figure out her motivation, if she's actually like the Imperial, like is she for the New Republic? Was she hitting on him, or what was going on with that? Like I couldn't tell.
That was all a ruse.
Well, that's the thing, is that I was like, I can't tell like who's who in this episode and what the objectives of anybody were.
What I took from it, and this is probably wrong, is that she is super hardcore Imperial, and she has a mission that she's not letting anyone in on except for herself and maybe like the Empire. And then the end was just to kind of mind wipe him or like brainwash him into whatever she needs. But
Kind of where
I don't know, it wasn't conveyed well.
No,
I'm gonna admit.
I was watching a reviewer. He's like, yeah, 56 minutes. And like, it opens up with the TIE fighters. Like, oh my God, 56 minutes of the Mando doing his thing. Who's this guy? Oh God. This is the episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it was super weird. What was I going to say? Apparently, the Imperials are so brainwashed, they love those rations that They crave
I know.
rations.
I'm not gonna lie, those yellow ones that he likes
They
would
look
go great with
good.
coffee.
They look good.
They look like they're at Starbucks where they have the little impulse buys.
Oh, it looks like a yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, lemon. Whatever it is, the lemon
Yeah.
cake that they have. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should sell those at Disney World.
Yeah, they
now.
should.
Get your Imperial rations.
Like your
And they
ration
can buy
bar.
a box that looks like those Imperial like crates. That'd be cool. There you go,
Uh,
Disney. More money. Just
apparently, so I grew up reading the expanded universe, and I grew up specifically in the New Republic era. So I'm used to the New Republic acting a certain way. But what we get from Disney's New Republic is just they're terrible. They're
They're
terrible at
idiots.
everything.
They're
Yeah.
idiots. They're absolute idiots. And it carries on into the other like movies too. They're just idiots. Like they don't do anything. They have like they're stupid.
Yeah, they don't have an army apparently.
who is even like who's leading them in this? Like, is it?
Nobody knows.
Apparently, that lady that gets like shot in the Force Awakens when they shoot the Star Killer
Oh.
face at them, and they just like look at it. Oh, look at that, we're dead.
Lights.
That's the end of the New Republic. So that's
And
kind of
then they
sad.
have the resistance.
Because you
I'm
grow
still-
up just like thinking about, wow, what's the New Republic like? And then you get this crappy brainwasher people. But
Well, and they kind of had like a slight like Imperial remnant, which is like one of my favorite parts of the expanded universe because they had like their own form of government outside of the New Republic, and it's like what was left over of the Empire. It's like the Moffs are still running it and all that kind of stuff. You kind of get a hint of that, and then
yeah,
nothing again.
I like this one reviewer. He's like, why did they call them the First Order? Just bring back Imperials. Why
Imperials,
is this?
yeah.
I know it's just weird. It's weird. Michael, did you have any thoughts on this episode?
Oh, plenty. So I mentioned before that well, I don't know all like I've never read a Star Wars book. No, that's not true. I've read the Force Unleashed books, but apart from that, I know nothing about Star Wars Extended Universe.
Heir to
but-
the Empire, you need to read it by Timothy Zahn, one of the best sci-fi books ever written.
Fair
Just
enough.
putting it out there.
And I was gonna say if you like KOTOR, but I don't think you play KOTOR, right?
I didn't finish KOTOR ever.
Oh, okay.
I played
But
it. I didn't.
Raven
I
books,
didn't own
they're-
it, so that's my
The
excuse.
Republic Commando books are the best. Shut
They
your
are.
mouth.
They are pretty great. Like Karen Travis is pretty awesome.
But like I said at the end of the last episode, super hyped. I was like, oh man, giant monster. I love big things. Big things are really cool. Jumps into the last episode. I rewound it twice because I was like, they missed something. They forget to edit it in there. Like they did look. She came face to face with a big thing, and then poof. Oh man, whew, that was a good swim, man. I was like, what the heck just happened? And I was like, okay, I kind of understand. They're kind of going through the whole, I didn't realize it was a mythological thing that no one had seen before or in ages. Get that. Then, so here's where my brain goes. So I did like the episode. I like the storyline they took, but leading it is it's like the most BS thing I've seen in a minute. So the episode was like almost an hour long. The longest one we had.
Yeah,
the
it's
one
the
before was like 36 minutes or something like that. It was really short.
Yep.
And they tack on to appease the people. They tack on the end of the last episode to the beginning of this one. Like, just make them separate freaking episodes. Because the freaking chase fight scene at the beginning of this episode is amazing. Like, what a great ending. And it would have made sense to my brain in the sense of they pop back up like you fade to black after she's a thing, pop back up. Oh, that was intended, not rewind, confused, rewind, confused. And then it goes in that visually it looked amazing. That whole fight, the choreography of the planes going around, everything was so well done. Them zooming around, I don't know, super super cool. I was like, this is freaking amazing. Then yes, we jumped to the whole Game of Thrones-esque character development where we have probably the most absurd scene I've seen in I don't know how freaking long. Oh my Lanta, the VFX pops, man.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like it pops. Okay, yes, the
It's-
actual like ice cream
That's-
pops that they have.
That's the
Oh,
that's the biggest why I've seen in I don't know how long.
That took that took way too long in my brain to figure that out.
I went to his house and he was pissed about these popsicle sticks.
I mean, it looks like beginner. Sorry, beginner effing. I'll bleep that out. What was I saying? 20 minutes in. It's beginner freaking VFX because, dude, it was absurd. And the fact that it's not just like it's such the Disney way of, hey, let something be there and let it be world building. No, you got to draw attention to it. You have to focus on Baby Yoda doing things. You have to focus on Mando doing things. Like, let these things be in the background. Let the Force be in the background. Don't focus on everything. They have the line. They literally have the line, guys, where she goes, "You're melting," and he goes, "Oh." Let me pretend lick this green stick in my hand so you can edit in these terrible glowing blob marshmallows that are apparently melting, but no one can freaking tell because it looks, I mean, they probably just had flashlights because they had to have the glow on their faces, or they edited the glow in, which would make it even worse. I was dumbfounded. One, that was terrible. Two, this whole scene's dialogue was like the rest of the dialogue in this episode I thought was actually pretty good with the intrigue about I liked this main character a lot that they dealt with, and his voice was really cool. I don't know if he voices things, but he needs to. I liked his character. I liked his presence. He had a good just kind of like way of bringing about things that I was really into. And just like in the interest of him, like, hey, I want to help out. Can I do more? I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to push the boundaries because, you know, I'm the bad guy here. Like all those guys, like, oh, we didn't realize you were Imperial. It's okay. You know, they kind of build that relationship, and then he gets tricked by some foxy lady and her cookies. You know, good lord, how many times that happened? But like,
speaking from experience,
ask Jared and Tom.
Oh my, quite a story for another time. But yeah, like this whole segment was like supposed to be them kind of flirting on a date, I guess. I don't know. And they walk up to the weird fountain thing, licking these terrible pops. The dialogue was terrible. Like, you see that as a paid person of Disney, and you say cut it. Like, that is the easiest cut. It is a couple minutes long. Cut the freaking scene. It was absolutely atrocious. Anyway, apart from that, leaving that, I liked the build up to the mystery of what they were going after and the fact of, is she good? Is she bad? Is she good? Is she bad? She's obviously bad. She's doing the thing. And I'm with Jared where I feel like she was just manipulating him and the control, making him wipe his mind, whatever, to keep her cover completely intact. It's like no loose ends or whatever, except she didn't kill him. She just mushed his brain. I like that. I thought they did a good job with that scene of the brain mushing to where it actually felt tense during it, which was nice because that's been done so many times. I was like, oh, I like the way you did this though. Anyway, yeah. Apart from that, the fact that they tacked on the last episode to try and make this an action packed or try and quote unquote throw the action in the episode was absolutely ridiculous, and the pop scene was ridiculous. But apart from that, I actually did enjoy this episode.
Hey, Michael, you know why you like the guy's voice? Because he does additional voices on Call of Duty.
He's one of the guys in there. I'm like, hey, I've heard you.
Call of Duty Infinite as one of the
really
officers
in Modern Warfare. Yeah,
I like him.
Two things about this episode. There was one joke that is terrible. Is when, like, you know, when they first go into the subway car or whatever, the tram car, and she's like, Mondays, am I right, or something like that?
Oh yeah.
And then he does it at like the when
yeah,
they're like when they're caught. It's like someone should have just shot him in the face.
Be quiet, sir.
And then I did like seeing like a derelict like Star Destroyer and like them just like going through it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was very cool.
I also did like the ending of this episode was when we got to see Din and Bo-Katan come back to the I don't know what I call it, the campsite,
the culvert, I think they call it.
Yeah, of the other Mandalorians, and then like in like the episode, you realize that, you know, hey, she hasn't taken her helmet off yet. Like, what's going on? And then they have the whole redemption thing. It's like, have you taken your helmet off? And she's like, no. Well, this is the way. So, but I don't know why.
One thing like about
that's how they said it to you. This is the way.
This is the way. Before I move on, the one thing about the episode that kind of bugged me was the droids look kind of weird. They didn't look like Star Wars droids. They look like
oh yeah, his therapist droid or whatever.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of
I forgot about that one. Yeah,
they look.
Well, and like in the concept art, like at the end of it, it was completely different. I was like, yeah, why did they use those? That'd be cool.
Yeah, they just didn't look like Star Wars droids to me. They look like, I don't know, like
They kind of look like those. You remember those toys you had, like the white droids, and they kind of have a human face. They kind of look like that, or like the medical droids on one of the movies.
Yeah, the one that worked on Padme kind of looks like that one. Is what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Ooh ba, ooh ba.
did some work on Padme. Oh.
That thing probably killed her. I mean, if we're honest.
She died of a broken heart.
Oops.
All right, so moving on, we get to chapter 20. It's called The Foundling. And like Tommy said, we get back to the covert where they're training like the kids. They're still at the same place where they got attacked by that alligator turtle thing. And surprisingly, they get attacked again by a pterodactyl.
Is it surprising though? Really? Because it also like it always does this. It's like
It is the
I
way.
know. That was a weird line. It's like he kills.
Oh, it was not only a weird line, it was a weird line multiple times, is what it was.
You know, he just takes the kids every once in a while. We
it's like-
kind of let him.
like it happens before. It's like
Yeah,
excuse
this
me?
episode's logic wasn't very good. For one thing,
For one thing, Joseph, that was his father.
yeah.
That you don't find out till the end of the episode. Oh, I have words for this episode. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go over real fast. So they're training the younglings, the foundlings, or whatever they're called. And Din's like, Yoda, you gotta learn, man. I don't care that you can barely walk or you can't even talk yet, but we're gonna put you into some fights.
give him a gap, man. Just do it. He's got to learn early.
So they get him in this gauntlet dart thing, and he's like scared to fight the kid because he don't want to hurt the kid. But then they're like, "Hey, unleash it!" And so he like starts flipping around and shoots the kid with paintballs. Then, like I said, pterodactyl comes and steals the same kid. So they try to fly after it. But little did we know that gas exists in the Star Wars universe.
The gas, the fuel does not exist until like this era. Like,
Because
I mean,
we
'cause-
just had an episode where Din flies to Tatooine, Mandalore, back to Tatooine, and like gas never came up. But their jetpacks run out of gas while they're chasing this beast. And then Bo flies in, like didn't tell anyone she had a ship that, hey, maybe we could get on the ship and chase it. But no, she comes and then instead of like attacking the beast because she's afraid she'll kill it, she like lands and is like, hey, let's make a plan to sneak up on the beast. So they do that. They go up to the nest. The shenanigans happen. They fight the beast. They save the kid, and then they get some baby birds, which is
also
fun.
save the baby birds.
Kidnap
Like, oh, we have
is a
some
better phrase there.
foundlings for you. It's like, what?
So in season 15, expect to see some Mandalorians flying around on pterodactyls.
Just
I
gonna
mean-
go Avatar on us.
I know, like, beast riding is like a thing for Mandalorians. Like, even in like the expanded universe, they had like the basilisk droids that were based on like other beasts or whatever. And then the first time we ever saw Boba Fett was on that weird lizard thing back in the
Dinosaur.
cartoons. Yeah. And he rode a Rancor in Boba Fett, and so I mean I know it's part of their thing, but
I gotta go to Michael on this one because
it's weird.
I think this is the one you posted a picture of you just slamming your head against TV.
Oh yes.
So I want to
Oh.
hear Michael's take on this episode.
Oh yes. Like, so we talked before. We had 3 episodes we were watching in between these. And I was like, it's like a roller coaster. First one started kind of drop with Princess Carolyn. Went back up. Was like, okay, I'm enjoying the cave people going up, whatever. Second episode, we had a couple. We were like, oh, they kind of shoehorned that in with a little dip. Then went back up with like characters, a little dip with the ice cream cones again. Back up, enjoyed that, and then it just hits this episode and plummets so far down that I think I'm still falling with this freaking episode. This episode
Look, there goes
is
Michael.
terrible. This episode is terrible front to back. Oh I was literally, I was making food and I started the episode and they start playing laser tag with Yoda. And I literally was saying, I was like, what are we doing? What are we freaking doing? I said it like 5 times because he's just like, oh, you lost. Like, haha, I got the little green baby. And not only that, rewind a little bit back to where they first show the kid come back. Dear God, I thought we didn't have to see this kid again. I was like, just that one episode, he puts his little paper mache helmet on, we're done with it. But no, the paper mache boy comes back, and then it ends up getting captured and making the whole episode about him. So yay! So they do the dart thing, and then like Joseph said, that they get attacked again by creatures because they can't seem to leave a freaking beach. Why they can't build a house, do anything, fortify something, put a net? I don't care. Do something so they're not just stuck in this gulf. The freaking bird takes the dumb kid, and I'm like, please leave the kid. Forget about it. Doesn't matter. And this character that you don't know till the end of the episode who he is, goes, oh, that happens all the time. They take him. And like, oh, we're going to go after him. So they all fly off. That character said that. They all fly off. Him and Mando get like the furthest, and then they both run out of gas, as Joseph has said. And he goes, happened again. We always run out of gas here. How much is wrong with that sentence right there? It happens again. It always happens. We lose children to the baby birds, and at this exact spot, we run out of gas.
Our jetpacks get tired. It's
Can we
gas,
not
they just get tired.
devise a solution if it happens all the time?
I just realized something that you said, like, oh yeah, he got fed to the baby birds. That means that they took these baby birds, kidnapped them, sorry, and brought them back to the culvert, whatever. It's like, oh, guess what? Your friends, they ate them.
They pooped out their like baby's bones and stuff. Yeah.
I was like, wait till they go through their like excrements. Like, oh look, there's Charlie's skull.
There's Freddy's helmet. It just popped out. We'll reuse it later.
I wanted to defend them living on the beach, as Mandalorians have to go through trials. They're supposed to like be rugged and fight, and the weak ones are supposed to get picked off because it's their culture. But they're just stupid if they're just chasing this bird back and forth every time one of the kids gets taken.
Yeah, it is stupid, Joseph. It is painful because then we end up, lady chick devises the plan, like you said, where they all go and they're gonna go up. She goes and finds the mountain, comes back, tells them all about it. Like, oh, you did such a good job. You're gonna lead the thing. You're gonna lead the group. You're gonna be the cool person. You're gonna get to sit by the campfire because you're the leader. Everyone else to go eat in silence and in their corners because you can't see them. Then the most baffling line to me is when they get to the freaking bird cage. They decide to climb up the mountain because their jetpack would alert the birds. Whatever, who cares? You have guns. It's a bird. Shoot it. So they all go Tomb Raider mountain climbing up the thing. And the man who has not cared this entire time said, it happens all the time, whatever, gets to the top of the thing, sees the kid, you don't know this till now, goes, my son, and then he like jumps and dives to try and save him. Like, you did not care the moment he was taken, as it's flying off, the moment you ran out of gas, which you could have predicted 12 times over, apparently, and now he apparently cares about his son. Like, my mind was so blown when he said, my son. I was like, you're literally the guy this whole time. You were this show.
Maybe he didn't see him get taken. And that was like the first time he saw him.
Just like,
oh, dude, that's my kid.
I bet he's over. He didn't see the kid who just had the showdown that everyone was around with Yoda. He just looked off in a corner. And then he
comes back. Hey, where's Ragnar? Oh no.
He was taking off his helmet and getting a drink. So
he's hiding in the corner. He's like, oh, thirst jammer, I gotta run off.
What happened?
This show makes the Mandalorians look like absolute buffoons, man. It's so bad. In this episode, like the one episode with the turtle, I was like, okay, it's silly, but whatever. You're doing an action scene. This was just bad all the way around. The only thing, like I agree with Thomas, that made this episode somewhat viable was the fact of her like kind of inducting into the religion, kind of that interest of, she's kind of interested in it. I'm like, that's kind of a cool arc because so far her character's bored me. I think she's cheesy. So I'm like, that's kind of a cool idea of her like, hey, I want to see what this is all about, see what this kind of history is and everything. Apart from that, like, I was baffled. Like, I literally sent it to our friend group chat of just like a gif of just a dude smashing his head into the TV over and over. I was like, this is me right now because I cannot believe what I'm watching. It was, oh God, it was terrible. Terrible.
something that they haven't done yet, and I kind of wish they would, was that you know, the heavy, the whatever Vizsla is his name.
Yeah.
In the Clone Wars show, like Bo-Katan and her sister have like a rivalry with his cousin
Yeah.
over the Darksaber. And that's one of the reasons why he like challenged Din for the saber, is because like his family is like another royal house. But they haven't brought any of that up or anything. It's also not Jon Favreau anymore. That's kind of weird.
They're not characters. The Mandalorians aren't characters. They're just these side little things that sit in the background.
Well,
like that's
they
so
used to
interesting.
be
What you said is so
cool.
interesting. Why
Yeah.
not make some sort of character arc with the characters you put in there? Instead, we just got,
Which
oh, there's
is
Spiky
weird,
Golden Lady helmet.
because it's the same guys that wrote those episodes. Like Jon Favreau and David Filoni like literally wrote those episodes. Jon Favreau was in the Clone Wars episode because he like was like ghostwriting it with Dave Filoni. He's like, hey, cool, Mandalorians, I have an idea.
Goodness.
And then they have all this, and what says that this episode was written by both of them. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, come
What's
on.
going on?
I don't know who's calling the shots out there, but
Did
it's
you just
bad.
like outsource this to a chat AI?
Jared, what are your thoughts?
Mandalorians should not be in a group on a beach because it looks so bad. There's like their suits look bad. I don't know if they lost all their budget except for those like when they got to the suits, they're like, oh shoot, we're out of money. Because they look terrible on the
Well,
beach.
like the quality goes up and down for the suits. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that one looks cool. That one looks like,
Well,
oh,
it's
God.
like Mando, the blacksmith chick, they're good suits. They're like
Yeah.
shiny, they got textures, they got like details. The extras, man, they look like just like
It's like they're having a Star Wars convention and everyone's cosplaying, and you can tell who's got the money for cosplay and who doesn't have the
And
money.
who doesn't have a budget? Yeah.
Yeah.
so Michael, back in the day, like when you saw a Mandalorian, you're like, oh my,
yes.
like in KOTOR when you see that one dude and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna kill everyone. And this, it's like they're like bumpkins on a beach, just like it's
Space
terrible.
Space
Yeah.
hippies.
They've gone downhill. Except for Mandalorian, they've gone even Boba Fett, like in his series, they've just gone downhill. It's like they don't care about him anymore.
It's
like-
very conflicting because, like you said, in the Old Republic, they pretty much challenged the Jedi for power. So that them and the Jedi have this big war. And it's like epic and it's cool, and I wish they would like adapt that.
Drew Karpyshyn's like, I have an idea if anybody wants to like give me the money. And I'm just like, yes, do it.
After Old Republic, you get into like the old expanded universe stuff, and they're very much loners, like Boba Fett. They're all pretty much based on Boba Fett. They're all spread out, and they're kind of loners and stuff like that. And then when you got to the Clone Wars, they totally kind of revamped what the Mandalorians were, because they have like this royal house. There's like this queen, and she's kind of elegant, and they don't look like fighters. And you find out like Django's actually part of a splinter group that was kind of doing their own thing, and they don't really consider them Mandalorians. So and then now you got this. So it's just been like, what are you doing with these key characters? Well, I mean, this society.
They're not consistent at all. And
It
it's kind of
feels like
frustrating.
Ever since the Clone Wars that the Samurai Jack dude, what is his name, Gindi did,
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars hates powerful characters. They like weak characters, and like they've
One force push. Oh,
yeah, just like everything is like weak. Like it used to be like anime, like their powers. Like even in the books, it's like kind of ridiculous. It's like it's like Superman stuff, and then like in the shows they can barely function. Any like Jedi or Mandalorian, they can barely function as like regular.
And that's what makes like the Mandalorians cool. Like in the old lore was that these guys had no force powers, no nothing, and yet these guys almost wiped out the Jedi. Like not even the Sith did that, and so I don't know. It's just how the mighty have fallen, I guess. It's so sad.
I like Bo. I like her character, but I think she's kind of out taking the spotlight from Din, which, like, watching the trailers for this season, I thought it was going to be like Din's going to rise to power, going to unite the Mandalorians, and they're going to take back their planet. But that's not what we've gotten at all. And I don't like that they're kind of sacrificing Din's story for her story, because if it was on the side, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think it's cool, like Thomas said, that she's kind of converting to their way of life instead of the old way. But one thing we forgot to mention was Grogu has a flashback in this episode.
Oh, true.
The armor is making him another piece of armor, which is a circle, because can't do much with
That was weird. I thought she was gonna make him a little bitty helmet with like space for the ears. Like, oh, that'd be cool.
Something, but we get a circle. Yeah. But Grogu's seeing the past, and we go back to Order 66, and we get to find out who saves Grogu, and it happens to be Ahmed Best, aka Jar Jar Binks, making his return to Star Wars since playing Jar Jar, I think. And then he also plays a character in Episode 2. He's like just some guy in a bar, in the beginning. But yeah, it was cool to see him back, because we all know he got a lot of just trash for playing Jar Jar, which is not fair because it's not his fault. It's just the way they wrote the character. But so it's cool to see him back as a Jedi.
The development of that character, it's nuts. For Jar Jar, like the amount of money that they spent on that character is probably what they spent on this show. Like, it's just nuts. But
yeah, and then by Episode 3, he's barely in it.
Yeah,
barely in there. Yeah,
he's just there to execute Order 66.
I will say, like, I didn't quite catch on that it was that guy that played Jar Jar, but when I saw the Naboo starfighter or whatever, I was like, oh God, no, please don't tell me Jar Jar's on here. If he's from Naboo, it would make sense that he got somebody out during, Order 66. And I guess he did in a way, just not the way we thought it would. But I was just like, oh God. And then I was like, wait, why do I know that guy? And then I think Joe posted on chat, oh, he's back. I'm like, oh, okay, that's where I know him.
Yeah, that it was weird seeing a Naboo class starship. You're like, what the heck?
Which are still one of my favorites. I just love to look at them. They look so awesome. Newbies.
So as soon as I saw him, I knew it was him. So I'm like, okay, he's a Jedi now. And then he goes, and there's that Naboo starfighter. I'm like, what the heck? Is he like a human Jar Jar or something? What's going on? He's like, why is it
the more Star Wars goes on, like when you first watch Star Wars, you're like, oh, two guys made it out of the Clone Wars. As it goes on, there's gotta be hundreds, just 100 Jedis out there scared to do anything, because it feels like they're just all over the place now.
True. And I think we're supposed to get more Jedi, or maybe that was the last one though. But yeah. So do we got any last words for this episode of Founding?
I hope the roller coaster changes directions, goes back up, because I can't take it.
I can't even predict what's going to happen on the next episode. I have no idea.
Something needs to happen. Something like
the whole birds and the birds at the end reminded me of Kirby. Dyna Blade.
I knew you were going to say that.
You kill their mom and then you take the babies and raise them. That's exactly like Kirby.
That's how birds work, man.
Goodness.
You just
gotta kill the eldest to take control.
All right, so I think that's it for this episode of That's Good Stuff. Definitely subscribe and give us some likes and some notifications, because you're going to want to stick around to see even more good stuff. We got more Mandalorian coming. We'll finish that off, and we got movie season coming up, and then next week I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about some Resident Evil. So.
You know we are.
You're gonna want to get some notifications for that one. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.